Hello guys, welcome to this video series on the adjectives. Okay, without any wasting time, let's get down to work. Okay, in my previous video we talked about the definition of the adjectives and the basic function of the adjectives, and today we are going to talk about very important two categories of the adjectives. Okay, so look at the display. We have two very important classes of the adjectives. These are called qualitative and classifying adjectives, as you can see the name as it displays. Okay, and these two categories are also called gradable and ungradable adjectives. Okay, qualitatives are gradable adjectives and classifying are ungradable adjectives, and you will come to know what the gradable and ungradable is within a short time. Okay, firstly we need to see the simple definition on the qualitative and classifying adjectives. Okay, let's see. Okay, now as you can see at your displays, these adjectives describe the qualities. Okay, these adjectives describe the qualities of objects or people. As its name indicates, as the qualitative term indicates, these kind of adjectives always describe the qualities or attributes of objects or people, such as feelings and size, or etc. Okay, and these kind of adjectives can be used as comparative or superlative forms. Okay, such as wise, wiser, or wisest. Okay, good, better, best. So these are comparative superlative forms. Okay, and we can also use sub-modifier with the qualitative adjectives in order to make them gradable. Okay, so on the other hand we have the classifying or ungradable adjectives. Okay, if you look at the display you can see the simple definition. These adjectives classify or categorize people and things. As this name indicates, classifying means to put something in the classes or put something in the particular groups. Okay, so in order to place particular objects or items into groups or classes, we can use classifying adjectives. Okay, so I think we can learn accurately with 3D example further. Okay, let's move on to our 3D example. Okay, as you can see at the display, three models named A1, A2 and A3. And A1 has a 5 feet 11 inch height, and A2 has 6.5 inch height, and A3 has quite a height. It's a 7.5 inch height. Okay, and this A3 model is towering over these two models, A1 and A2. And firstly, if we see the senses, we see A1 is fairly tall person. Okay, here A1 is a fairly tall person because he has 5.11 inch height, and A2 is a very tall person. Okay, because it is 6.5. And if we just move on to the A3 model, we see A3 is an extremely tall person. Okay, because it has 7.5 inch height. I mean to say there, tall is adjective. Okay, you can see in every sentence tall is adjective and a person is noun. Okay, because tall is a qualitative adjective and it is describing the quality of a person, because we are going to talk about height of a person. But here we have used fairly. Okay, you can see here we have used very, and here we have used extremely. Okay, and these are called the sub-modifiers, and these three words are simply you can say these three words are reflecting the power, quality or strength of the adjective. Okay, importance of the adjective. We can increase or decrease the importance value of this adjective with the sub-modifier. So firstly, he's a fairly tall, he's moderately tall, neither tall nor short. Okay, here very, he's very tall person, and then we have extremely tall person in order to describe topmost or utmost power of the adjective. Okay, So from this submodifier we can make our adjective gradable. Okay, so let's move on to our main platform. Oh, quite a movement, huh? Quite a nice maneuver. Okay. Okay, so you can see at your display, this is the same example as we have already seen in the 3D example. He's a fairly very extremely tall person. These three words are submodifier, this is adjective, and this is a noun. Okay, so let's move on to another example, theoretical example I mean to say. Okay, then now we have Adam is a really very exceptionally genuinely friendly person. We can use any one of these for modifier, okay, with this adjective. Look at this. This is a friendly and this is noun. Friendly is adjective and person is noun. As I have already told you in the first video on the adjective, that adjectives always describe the qualities of a person. Here we can say the person is quite friendly, he's amicable, he's quite sociable person, he always come forward to talk with you or someone else, okay? That's why he's a friendly person. But in order to make it gradable, we can use these submodifiers such as he's really friendly, he's very friendly, he's exceptionally friendly, or he's genuinely friendly. Okay, so by using this submodifier with a qualitative adjective, we can increase or decrease the value of the adjective. Okay, so let's move on to the third example. You can learn better with example. Okay, so with the third example we have simple sentence. This sentence is reflecting terrible truth of government department in India. As you can see here, many government officials in India are thoroughly, totally, notoriously corrupt. And from this sentence, we come to know that some of the officials in the government department, they are corrupt. And you can say corrupt is an adjective, okay, it is describing the government official, okay, and this is a qualitative adjective, and we have used these three submodifiers. We can use one of them, such as thoroughly, they're completely correct. We can also use totally, and we can also use, this is nice verb, notoriously. This is a collocated verb with the corrupt, okay. Notoriously means somebody or something who is famous for something bad. Okay, so we can use these three submodifier with this qualitative adjective in order to make it qualitative or gradable adjective. Okay, let's move on to the final or last example on the qualitative adjectives. Okay, now look at the first example. This is quite simple. He's one of the wisest men in the world. Okay, wisest, you know, it is a superlative form of the wise. Okay, I already told you wise is the base form, wiser is a comparative, and wisest is a superlative form. As we have already read in the previous statement, qualitative adjective can be used as a comparative or superlative forms, and this is a superlative form. Okay, and man is simply a noun. Okay, so he is one of the wisest men. So we have used wise as a gradable adjective. Okay, because we have used this superlative form. Okay, I think from these four examples you have got a better idea of what the qualitative adjectives are. Now let's move on to our classifying ungradable adjectives, and we see some of the examples to make them accurate, okay, in your language. Okay then. So we have one example of our classifying adjectives. We belong to Immortal Generation. Here, mortal is adjective, and the generation is a noun. So generation simply, as you know, that we have used as a noun, and mortal is making that noun classified. Okay, we are putting our generation into a particular class, and that class is mortal. As everybody knows that we are humans and we will die at last. Death is the inevitable end of our lives. Okay, so that's why we belong to mortal generation. We cannot say that we belong to very mortal generation. We can say we belong to extremely mortal, really mortal generation, because this adjectives making generation, placing the generation in particular class. Okay, so that's why this adjective is classifying or ungradable. Okay, so let's move on to another example. Okay, so now we have one example. Most of the people from India love to go to Western countries, okay? And we are talking about most of the people from India, they love to immigrate to the foreign countries, particularly Western countries. And here we have the Western as adjective and the countries as noun. And Western is putting the countries in particular group. These countries that lie in the West. Okay, so Western here is classifying object or ungradable object. We cannot say most of the people they love to go to very Western, extremely Western, or fairly Western countries. Okay, it would be quite nonsensical and quite strange. It will sound strange. Okay, so now we use sub-modifier with the classifying adjectives. Okay, so let's move on to our last example of this video. Okay, now last example we have every country has nuclear weapon, and you know that every country has very deadly, devastating nuclear weapons in their arsenal. Okay, so here we have nuclear as a classifying object and classifying adjective. Sorry, so weapons is a noun. Okay, we have put the weapons in a particular class, and that class is a nuclear. Okay, there are kind of many kind of weapons. Okay, so hydrogen bombs, nuclear weapons, many kind of other weapons. Okay, but nuclear weapon is a one particular class. So we cannot say every country has very nuclear, extremely nuclear. We also cannot say nuclearist. We cannot use any comparative or superlative form. It would be absolutely stupid and strange, okay, to the third person. So that's why these three adjective, mortal, Western, and nuclear, these are three classifying adjective or ungradable adjectives. So there are many other classifying adjectives, okay, you can use in your language. I hope from these examples and the definitions you have clear idea of how to use qualitative and classifying adjectives in your language or IELTS test, okay, in your writing and or your speaking. If you want to know more about adjectives deeply and accurately, keep watching my videos, okay? If you like this video, hit the subscribe and like button, and you can also hit bell button in order to receive much needed notification about English language or IELTS training videos, okay? So until next time, goodbye.